got in a fight with a man in Verizon and walked out with a black iPhone.
Oh my God, I love that, a black iPhone.
He wanted an Android, but he got in a fight with a man in Verizon and walked out with a black iPhone.
Oh my gosh. So we sees her 19.
I love it.
I was hanging out with a friend a couple months ago and I was playing her the song. And I said, it's called Caesar 19. And she was so weirded out. She was so confused. She's like, Caesar? Like Caesar? I'm like, no.
Caesar.
Like sees her 19, like Caesar salad. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but that's really intriguing. You know, that's even more of a cool thing when people like misinterpret stuff, isn't it, Jason? It's like they're like, what? And then they'll, be drawn in.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite songs from like the 90s is songs that are like, there's some weird lyric that everybody thought said something super absurd, but it was actually a super normal lyric, but everybody loved the weird lyric and it was wrong the whole time. There was a number of those songs. I can't remember one right off the top of my head, but there's a lot of them.
Blinded by the Light. Remember that one? Blinded by the light. The actual lyric was racked up like a deuce, like D-E-U-C-E, but it sounded like douche, and that's the way everybody was singing. Wrapped up like a douche, no longer in the night, blinded. Bruce Springsteen wrote that.
That's hilarious.
Well, how did y'all? Because y'all brought Caesar 19, sees her 19. Y'all had already started, like, played with that idea. How did that even start?
That was Mark's original idea.
We were probably, me and Jason have so much cool wordplay. We're so much on the same page. We were probably started with Caligula 19 instead of Caesar. No, I'm kidding. I had that idea, and Jason, of course, we were batting stuff around EB, and it never became a song, but I knew Jason liked it. So when I got with y'all, and by the way, you guys, during the pandemic, when we locked down and everybody started going to these Zoom rights, which works really good, you guys were definitely like my first or second co-write in that frame of mind and in the Zoom room. And so it was one of the first songs I wrote on Zoom, maybe the first song. And but that, I'll let y'all tell the story. But when we were in that Zoom room, EB, you may have been in Florida that day at your home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Jason was in probably Lake Arrowhead, Georgia.
Yeah, I was in a studio in Waleska,
and I was in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. So we were in kind of, all kinds of different exotic places on the earth too, which was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot we even wrote that song over Zoom, because when I think about it, I think about being in Noble Vision, because that's where the first time you brought it up, we were at Noble Vision in Nashville, and we ended up writing we wrote a different song, another really cool song. I can't remember which one, but I remember the original Caesar 19 was like super like hoppy, and it was like this kind of like it was that kind of vibe where it was like boom, 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 boom.
That sounds like Mark.
It was like real happy, and I remember we had like a really cool melody going and stuff, and then there was something about the other one that was slightly cooler, and now that it exists being the complete other way, it's like so much more fitting of the actual song that I'm glad we didn't finish it out the first time, because it would have took another shape that wouldn't have been as cool, I think.
Something I love, Mark, about writing with you is it's just like that. The other one we wrote, Color Me Black and White. There's something about just the way you think that just literally, it's like, I close my eyes and I'm like in a different time that I never lived in. Like, it's like you just have this, like, I told this at the show too, that when we sing Caesar 19 and I close my eyes, I feel like I'm sitting on a bench with an old man and he's telling me his story from like the 1950s. Like, I love how you do that. It literally brings tears to my eyes. It's like magic.
That is such a high compliment coming from you, EB. But I've always loved imagery, and of course, all three of us grew up in the South here, so that cultural color. And you know what? I want to hit the same back with you, because I was thinking, Color Me Black and White. You brought, and both of these songs, your element of talent and what you have your own Southern color, and you sprinkle, we all three of us do, but what you put on both of those songs, EB, I think brought it to something that me and Jason would have never stumbled upon. And it's hard to say. It's a magical thing, but we have a chemistry. But your talent and the way you phrase, even the parts of your vocal, you know, there's parts that whisper and there's parts in there that have a little rasp, and that just, to me, that's part of your magic. You pull it, you just drive it.
Thanks for saying that.
To a great place.
We've got a bird, a loud bird over here, I think, that agrees with you. Do y'all hear this bird?
Bird.
It's amen. It's my amen pew. Amen pew.
And then Jason, I feel like you kind of, because sometimes I feel it's neat with three people in a write. You know, sometimes if you get like loud personalities, it just can trample each other. I feel like when the three of us write, it's like we all just have this thing that supports the other. Like Mark, what I just said you bring, and then how you just encourage me, and then Jason, like, because remember, Jason, with this one, you were like, there's just something not right, and we changed the phrasing like after we had written it. Mm-hmm. You kind of like just smooth it out, make it presentable. Like you bow tied this one big time.
Yeah, I get obsessed over things that don't feel like quite perfect. I'm always the guy that's in the room where people are like, man, I love that hook. I love that hook. And I'm sitting in the corner like, when's a good time for me to tell them that I don't love it yet? Like, I think it's really cool and it's almost there, but there's something weird. But
and we all present each other with that kind of information and a loving, because we all came up in, you know, Christian homes and grew up with that. So we present it in a loving, very diplomatic way. And Jason, I want to give you a hats off too. I gave PB some encouragement there, but man, you know it. You know, me and you were on the same page from the beginning with this wordplay. But you're the genius musical. I don't know. God just got your brain, your gray matter. He put a little extra in there when it came to music, because you just got every smidgen of that. I got a little of it, and EB has a lot of it. But what you bring all the way around. But man, when you pull those instruments out, you got it going on. Y'all both do.
Thanks, Mark. You. Mark, how did this idea even come to you? Like, when did this, like, Caesar 19, how did that even come about?
That's a good question. And, you know, all along the years, y'all, and you guys may do this too, I'll have like a stack of legal pads, and every once in a while I will go through a few of those, and like maybe 20 ideas will pass on to another list. I mean, the list just keeps it's like DNA, it keeps making copies of itself. It's always a best of list. So at some point in the last 4 or 5 years, he sees her 19. I remember seeing it on different notebooks, and it would make its way into the next list of books. No, you know, I never wrote it, but it's one of those titles. I've always been a title guy. And it's one that really stood out. And I like the idea of 19, the double entendre of, he sees her 19 years old, and also he sees her 1955. So it just kept like transmutating, I guess, from notebook to notebook to notebook. And finally it made it to Jason and to you. And I'm so glad I can check it off. It won't make it into any more notebooks. It found its termination. It's like a Grand Central Terminal, baby. It kind of wound its way and found a place to land.
Crazy.
Awesome.
If you don't feel like God is in that picking of that, I feel like that is wild to me how songs do that. Like you can have an idea for 15 years and it lands with this person. Like you bring it to this person and it works. That is so crazy.
It's so a God thing. So much.
Jason.
So a lot of my song ideas that I have done that float forever. If I go back through my notes and I see a title that I'm like, it's a cool title and nobody's written it with me yet, I'll have a Mark pile that I'm like, nobody else wants to write this. I know that Mark's going to like it. So, and then I bring it to you and you're like, that's
and
so
vice
cool.
versa. Vice versa.
And Mark,
what a compliment.
I know you have a right in a minute. So I want unless Jason, you have something to add. It might be really funny to end and tell Mark how you rewrote some lyrics to Caesar 19 at our show recently.
Oh yeah. Well, first off, when you first told us this idea, or told me the idea in our first write, you said I have an idea for Caesar 19. I was like, oh, that's cool. And you were like, the husband, no matter what happens, he always sees his wife as 19. And I was already like, yeah, that's cool. And then when you said, I was thinking it would start like sees her 1950s. And then when you said that, I was like, oh, yes. I love that. And immediately we started saying years, and then we ended up abandoning it and then bringing it back to EB. And the first thing we did was like, let's figure out what year they started dating, and then what year they got married, and then what year. We like lined them all up. It was like, this is a great year, all of these 19 something or another years. And then we'll just make it rhyme. I remember like one of the big ones was 1981. And we were like, what happened in 1981 that rhymes with one? We looked up songs that were out at the time, and we found just the two of us down on the list somewhere. And I was like, well, I can sing one to where it kind of rhymes with us. And that's the closest rhyme we got. But the funny thing that EB's talking about is we, on paper and in a writing sessions, it seems like a really good idea to have tons of different years and then tons of slant rhymes with years until you play it live. And then you get to the line and you're like, oh crap, what year is this line? So let's see.
What year?
I did 1981, who do us 1993. That second verse, I started it with, he sees her 1993, fixing up an old Airstream. And that's the second half. And I couldn't go back to 81. So then I went 1993, fixing up another old Airstream.
I love it. But live, what can you do? You have show must go on. You got to fill it with something.
Yeah, there was
so
nothing you could do about it.
Two Airstreams.
They got an Airstream in 1993, and then later that year they got another one to fix it up. But what's funny is after the show, I had 5 or 6 people come up to tell me at the end that their favorite part of the show was when I said the wrong lyric and then ad-libbed and said it twice, and they laughed at it, and it was their favorite part. So that's
beautiful, man. The discrepancies are always the fun, memorable things, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I know 3 or 4 people around within a couple of miles of me that have like multiple Airstreams, like out in a pasture, maybe rusting, like old ones that are abandoned, like a graveyard for Airstreams. So I know some people with 2, 3, or 4 Airstreams.
When we come down there to do our Wilkes and The Coles right in the Shoals,
yes,
we need to take a couple hours and go do a photo shoot at some abandoned Airstreams, because that's like that's our aesthetic 100%.
We should get Mark to photobomb some of them too. Like be our fourth person for a day.
We should take Mark on all of our photo shoots and just have him walking in the background like Sasquatch.
Like, in the back, somewhere back there, with
It'll become a thing to where like Alfred Hitchcock was in all of his movies and some small thing. It'll just be, Mark Narmore is in all of their pictures, like in the background.
Every picture, man. He's like over on the side, like a shadow, like a Telecaster or something.
Sitting in a truck a mile away, like waving out the window.
Speaking of Waleska and Ella J, I got to say I love some Ella J, where EB is from. I have an Ella J T-shirt I should have worn today, but I'm envious of both of you because Muscle Shoals is nice and sweet. We got the river and the swampers. You guys have got some mountains over there and some, foothills of some. Y'all tell me, I don't know if it's actually the Appalachians right there with y'all. There's another mountain range that kind of comes in there. Is it one or the other, right?
This is right at the foothills, the Appalachians, basically, with Blue Ridge and all that.
Blue Ridge. Yeah.
We'll have to get you over here, Mark, to hang with us and write and stuff. And this is like so precious to me. When me and Jason were brainstorming about starting this, we could not have a more perfect person as our first story behind the song for our Patreon people. And we hope there's more that you helped us with. So we'll have you back and it'll be the sweetest thing again. And we got to send you a coffee mug.
Oh, I love it. That's got to come my way, man. Got to come. I want to see that. I want to see that UPS man bring it to my door and sit it down out there. I'll go get it. Pour me a cup of coffee.
Jason, do you have anything else to add before we wrap?
One of my favorite things about this song is we got to put a Fairlane in it.
Oh my God.
I love old cars. I wanted it to be Bel Air because old Bel Airs are my favorite cars, but Bel Air doesn't sound as cool as Fairlane.
1990 fair, where I would read the Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
I have a feeling with Jason's accent, with all of our accents, we could probably make some pretty wild stuff rhyme.
I do it all the time.
You can say 1990 fair, fair.
Or
it could be fair.
line. Well, Mark, have a wonderful next write.
Yeah, and I want to do this, even the little interview kind of thing, just where we're kind of chilling. I love that. So y'all, even in between our hit songs, just always have me on, please.
Of course, we need to get another write down, a real one.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Okay, well, have
fun.
Get
a Shoals one.
A Shoals one.
Yep.
There's got to be a Shoals one coming up here in a few months. Yep. Exactly.
I know. I've never been to Fame. I want to go. I want to see it.
It's going to happen. We'll write there. We'll just do a thing and write in Fame, studio.
I'm 100% down with that.
All right, Jason.
Cool.
Have a great day too.
All right.
Okay. All right. Bye, y'all.
All right. Bye-bye. All right.